Hi, I'm Dr. Chad Larson. Thanks for joining me in another episode of Keep It Real. So we're working through a list of 5 strategies to help decrease symptoms associated with anxiety and other negative emotional states. So if you remember, number 1 was all about certain breathing exercises. Number 2 was decreasing artificial blue light. Number 3 was improving your sleep pattern. And today we're going to talk a little bit about number 4, and that's how making certain dietary choices could influence decreasing anxiety and these other negative emotional states. And then the last one, number 5, is spending time in nature. And these strategies are all scientifically validated, and so I think if you suffer from some of these symptoms, then you could probably get some improvement if you follow these strategies. So today is all about number 4, which is making better dietary choices. And there's actually a few specific things that we'll talk about. So there's actually 5 of these dietary tips that you could start to incorporate, and you could start them today, and they could help to start to decrease symptoms associated with anxiety and those kind of things. So number 1 is eating breakfast, and with your breakfast have some protein, because we know that when the blood sugar drops, or let's say first thing in the morning, breakfast means break fast. You're breaking an all-night fast, so you haven't had food since the night before, and you want to support your blood sugar, particularly in those who have adrenal hormone issues. If your adrenal cortisol is insufficient, particularly in the morning, then you're not going to have the benefit of cortisol sort of boosting your glucose in the morning. So you're going to start your day off with low blood sugar. So protein helps to set the blood sugar rhythm for the day. And so if you eat protein, you get a nice steady blood sugar stream for the day, and you won't have cravings of sweets and sugars, because if you start your day off with like a donut and coffee, then your blood sugar is going to spike, and then it's going to plummet just as fast as it goes up. And when it plummets, that's where anxiety is provoked in a lot of people. So that's number 1 with diet, is you want to support your blood sugar for the day by eating breakfast and having some sort of protein with your breakfast. The second thing is on the list is you don't want to overdo caffeine. As you probably know, if you drink too much caffeine, it'll make you kind of jittery. And in some people, that jitteriness causes the heart rate to go up. And when heart rate goes up, sometimes that's a trigger for anxiety. So you want to watch the caffeine intake and make sure it's not excessive for you. And then also, if you consume caffeine all day, there's lots of research that shows that that could influence your sleep at night. And we talked about the episode on improving your sleep patterns, and we know that if you have too much caffeine during the day, that's going to affect your quality of sleep at night, and then the next day you already had a bit of a deficit because you didn't have that kind of restorative sleep the night before, and that could contribute to negative emotional states. So that's number 2, watch your caffeine. Number 3, get plenty of water relative to the temperature outside and your activity level. Make sure you're getting plenty of water. And just mild dehydration could make a person feel kind of uncomfortable and edgy, and in some people that can manifest in symptoms of anxiety. So make sure and stay hydrated. The 4th one on the dietary tips is alcohol. So we know, I think most people recognize that alcohol has kind of a calming effect, and that's at the kind of low dose, or kind of moderate amounts of alcohol. But if you consume too much alcohol, it actually converts into kind of a way in the body where it can actually make you more irritable and edgy, and can induce certain symptoms of anxiety. And we also know that too much alcohol affects the quality of sleep, particularly alcohol that's excessive in the evening. It will interrupt the sleep and not allow you to have a good quality sleep. And we already had the episode on sleep and how that could definitely influence your waking state of anxiety and things like that. So you really want to make sure that you have good sleep, and minimizing the alcohol. Remember, one of our founding fathers, Ben Franklin, he had those 13 life virtues, and one of the virtues was temperance. And the virtue of temperance, his quote with that was, "Eat not to dullness, drink not to elevation." And so it's really good advice from hundreds of years ago, and it's still true today. So keep the alcohol in check. And then the fifth tip in the 5 dietary tips to help regulate mood and things like anxiety is certain people have food sensitivities, like gluten sensitivity. Gluten sensitivity and other food sensitivities, if your immune system is abnormally reacting to a food, that can cause inflammation in the system. We know inflammation could influence things like neurotransmitters in the brain, and that can definitely affect your emotional state. Along with that sort of category of things is other food additives like monosodium glutamate, MSG, could be very agitating to some people and anxiety provoking. And then other things like food colorings. They've done things with people with like ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which has some kind of crossover symptoms with things like anxiety. These kind of food colorings and other flavoring additives to foods could be very irritating and agitating to people mentally. And so those are the 5 tips for dietary choices to help improve your emotional state. So hope that helps. Make those right food choices, and next time we'll talk about how spending time in nature affects your mental state. We've got some good research on that. So until then, we'll talk to you next time. Keep it real.